Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're talking about variable, and more specifically, Perl variables. So in Perl, there are two types of variables. You have scalar variables and you have arrays. Now, in this episode, we're going to talk about scalar variables. So let's get right into it. So first of all, if you're not familiar with what variables are essentially placeholders, and I think you will understand that concept more in practice than me just describing it to you. So pay attention, follow along, and you'll see what I mean by a placeholder. But another analogy is imagine, like, for example, on your radio, you have preset stations. Now, rather than every time you want to tune your station, you have to go and change it to the frequency or press the buttons up and down or whatever, you simply press one button, and that button is essentially a placeholder for your station's frequency. So it's 105.1. Rather than typing in 105.1, you press one button that represents that value. So it's the same thing with variables in programming and specifically in Perl here. So let's get right into it. So we're going to go ahead and create a script, and we're going to be very creative and call this script variable.pl. PL, of course, stands for Perl. So let's clean this up here. I hope you guys didn't cheat and read what was on the screen there. Follow along. Follow along. So we're going to start our script, of course, with a hash. Bang! Very violent beginning to our script. And then we're going to put the directory or location for where the Perl interpreter is. Bin Perl. Don't put an A in there, man. We're not talking about seashells on the seashore. We're talking about Perl, the programming language. All right, so there's our beginning line. And now I want to go ahead and assign a variable. So we're talking about scalar variables. And the way that they are assigned are with a $sign and then some kind of name, whatever the name of the variable is. Hopefully the name actually means something to anybody other than an alien. So in this case, I'm going to name my variable whatever. Like the kids like to say, whatever, man. That's my variable. I'm calling it whatever. That's my placeholder. That's on my radio. That's button 1. And now I need to assign a station to it so that whenever you press button 1, it goes to my station. So that's my placeholder, that's my variable, and the way I assign it is by going whatever equals, and I give it a value. Let's say whatever equals, no. Whatever. Meh. Let's say meh. Whatever equals meh, right? And now we're going to print that value by just typing print, and then we can say, and this is how you call, so how do you press the button virtually when you're talking about variables? The way you press the button on the radio here is by going $ whatever. So the same way you assign it is the same way you talking and writing. Can't do it. Can't chew and was it talk and chew gum at the same time? Whatever. Anyway, so the same way you assign it is the same way you refer to a $ and a variable name. Always end every line of your code or your script with a semicolon, of course. So again, we've assigned a scalar variable. We've called it whatever. That's the name of our scalar variable. And this is the value we're assigning to it. So whatever is now a placeholder for meh. That's our string. Scalar variables, difference between scalar and arrays are scalar is to hold a single value, it's a single placeholder. With an array, you can hold multiple items of data. And we'll discuss that in another video. So scalar variable, again, is for assigning a single string, like, for example, in this case, meh, whatever I wanted to put there, number, text, symbols, whatever it is. Now, I don't need to use any quotes because this is just regular letters. They have no special meaning in UNIX. So let's go ahead and see how this works. Now, final thing I want to add here is I'm actually going to have to add quotes here because what I want to do here is I don't want to have this be jumbled into my command prompt. I'm just fat fingering like crazy today. What's going on? I'm going to shrink my fingers. Finger exercises, huh? All right, so I'm going to add a new line character here so that after it prints back the value of whatever, it'll give me a new line and it won't just input it into the same command prompt line. So what we're doing here, before we run this, let's analyze this. So we are creating a variable called whatever, and we're assigning the value of meh to that variable. Then we are printing the variable contents, which are, of course, meh. So you should see meh displayed on the screen. So let's see what happens. Whoa! Too fast for you. Too fast for you. Perl variables. Let's run it. There you go. Meh. Sounds like a goat. sheep or something. All right, so that's it. Very simple. That is how you assign variables or scalar variables in Perl. Now let's step it up a notch. Let's do a variable that is a number. So how does that work? Can we simply put a number in here just like that and have it just print out that value? Let's see what happens. Let's try that out. What do you know, it works. What about mathematics? What if I wanted to do some kind of mathematics, like say 1 plus 1 equals 10. Oh man, I need to go back to school. My math is horrible. Let's see if this math is better. What do you know? Look at that. So it can do arithmetic. So there is something else for you to learn. So with a scalar variable, you can not only put a value where we had like text, for example, you can also do mathematics. So essentially, the result of this formula, equation, whatever you want to call it, is going to be put into this placeholder, whatever. So whenever you say print, it's going to print out the value of the mathematics here that we have requested. Now, what if we wanted to concatenate our variables? We can certainly do that. That is not a problem at all. Now, the way you concatenate the scalar variables would be what you're going to do here is you're going to create a new placeholder where you're going to place the result of the concatenation. Concatenation being you're taking two different things or multiple things and combining them into a single. So it's a merging. You're going to merge. So we have 1 plus 1 equals 2. What if we wanted to have 22? So we want to have the 2 from this and another 2 and combine them together. Not mathematically in terms of adding them, so 2 plus 2 being 4, but just having 22, so 2 and 2. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to say combine. Let's call this one combine. And then we are going to do a concatenation of one variable with another. Now, in order to have this combination, we obviously need to have a second thing to combine it to. Obviously, come on, you know that. So we're going to assign another variable. We're going to say, let's call this one 2. We'll be super creative. And let's just not even do math in here. We're just going to say 2. The value of 2 is 2. So let's put 2 and 2 together. Not mathematically again. We just want 2 and 2 to be put together as two separate digits. Like as if I say enter 2, enter 2 again, for example. All right, so here we have combine. So what we're going to do simply is we're going to concatenate, and the way you do that is by going $whatever, whatever, man. So we're going to do that, and then what we're going to do is to add the, or to concatenate the other one, what we're going to do is we're going to actually put a dot between the variables so we can kind of join them together. Or not really kind of, we are actually going to join them together. Let's not forget our semicolon at the end of every line. And then let's see what happens here. Absolutely nothing, because, well, we won't see anything because we have not requested it to print out the results of our little thing we've got going here. So let's go ahead and let's say we want to print the contents of this variable combine. Alright, so we're going to print the contents of the variable combine, and then we want to put our new line character there. Of course, we have to put our quotes. Let's not forget our quotes. And let's not forget our semicolon. And let's escape, colon, WQ, and run it. See what happens. Look at that! Look at that! That's amazing! Now, I'm going to explain to you exactly how we did that and what exactly happened in just a second. Actually, more like 30 seconds. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. And guess what? I'm back. So, let's go into this script that we created and let's explain what happened. So, in the first line, we did a math thing here of 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1, of course, we know is 2. So, it calculates this and puts the value into the placeholder whatever. So, whenever we call on whatever, we're going to get the results of this. So essentially whatever is equal to 2, right? So we print, then we're going to see 2, and then we have the new line character here. Then on the next line, we created another variable. In this variable, we just simply put the number 2. We could have done the math, but in this case, we just said straight up, 2 is what we want. Let's go straight to the point. So now we have two variables. Whatever up here is equal to 2 as a result of this math. And down here, 2 is equal to 2 because we simply said so, point blank. Then we did a concatenation. We created a third variable called combine to do a concatenation. And the way we did a concatenation is simply by adding a dot between the two variables. So we took the first variable, which is basically the math here, 1 plus 1, which equals to 2. So whatever is equal to 2. So we have combine equals 2, essentially. And then after 2, that's what this says. This is like concatenation. So this says you have this, and then you have this, the value of this. That's what that's doing. Take this and put it right next to this, right? So what is this? This is simply 2. We said 2 equals 2, right? So what we're going to have here is the result of 1 plus 1 up here, which equals 2. And then over here, we're going to have the value of 2 because that variable is equal to 2. So when we say print combine, we get 2 and then 2, or 22. So it's that simple. It is that simple, my friends. It's not complicated. 2 and 22. Now, just to further illustrate, because some of you may have been confused. Most of you have got it, but some of you are confused. Not because you're slow, just people learn differently. And maybe I'm going too fast for you. Who knows? So let's change something up a little bit here. So let's say that 2, let's assign the variable of 2 to, let's spell it out, 2. So not a number. Let's put actually in a string of 2. What's going to happen now? What do you think is going to happen? Think about that for a second. So the value of 2 is 2. Let's go straight to concatenation. First one is the variable whatever, which we know the value is 2. Then we're going to have the value of 2. But the value of the variable 2 is 2. So what do you think the results are going to be? Think about that. See if you can guess it before I actually run this. What's going to happen, folks? When I hit enter, what's going to happen? Will you win the lottery? Will the world come to an end? Or will you see 2 and then not 22, but 2 and 2 spelt out? There you have it. There you have it. Congratulate yourself. Pat yourself on the back if you guessed this. So as you see, the value of the other variable was simply TWO, and we just simply put them together or concatenated them together. Now, I wanted to let you see another little note here, little point for you to pick up on. Let's say we added a double quote here, and at the end we added a \n for new line, not M for mistletoe, but N for nuclear. Okay, so let's get out of here, and let's run this and see how this turns out. Absolutely nothing, except for the fact that we added a new line at the end, right? That's how it's supposed to work. But let's do that a little bit differently. Instead of doing the new line, what I would like to do is, let's say we add a space before the 2. And we're able to add the space because we have the double quotes. Alright, so it recognizes that we want that space to be there. And now when we run it, look at that! We have separated them. You may be thinking, okay, that's kind of cool, but why would I want to do that? Well, I will tell you why you might want to do that. Let's just say your script is doing something with wording or text. Let's say whatever is something a child might say. And let's say instead of 2, let's say adult. I don't know why I put the cap in there, but whatever. Let's say adult says is rude. Is rude! Child says whatever, adult says is rude. So let's go ahead and change to adult, and we're running out of time here. We're on a time crunch. Adult. Combine. What happens? Run it. Child is rude. See that? So that's how you can combine strings. So just food for thought there. So we can actually put text in these values, and then we can construct sentences by just putting spaces in the quotes. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. This is